What's going on, everybody? It's Eric Rayweather back here, and in today's video we will be deep diving into all of the new updates and features coming to Madden Ultimate Team in Madden 19. So EA Sports is starting to release all their information. They did release their schedule last week about what we can expect to come. So this is the week of Ultimate Team, and then next week it'll be something else. The following week it'll be something else. So they finally have released all of the new Ultimate Team updates and features. And before we start this video, I would like to say that I did actually get a chance to test all of this stuff out that they're talking about here. I can't elaborate further than what they're actually talking about here, but I can definitely give firsthand experience of having tested and given feedback on this stuff, and it is a lot of very good stuff here. So let's get into it. So it says, "Hello Madden fans, it's almost time to get your popcorn ready. You still have the opportunity to do sit-ups in the driveway, so hurry up and get fitted for those gold jackets because Madden NFL 19 has officially been announced, and I'm thrilled to deliver the first bit of news. Madden Ultimate Team has some exciting things to share. Let's jump right in." So the first thing is player upgrades. One of the biggest complaints they had in Ultimate Team this year was power-ups, and they addressed this in a perfect way. They addressed it in a way that many people suggested they address it, and they threw a little bit of a twist on it as well. So basically it says the design that drove the most amount of feedback in MUT 18 was unquestionably power-up players. It allowed you to have the most powerful version of a player, but it came with some limitations that we could not handle without additional development. We definitely heard and understood the feedback and invested in building support for power-up players and players upgrades in MUT 19. Let's start from the beginning and discuss what made upgrading players difficult in Madden 18. First of all, it took a lot of exploring through sets and knowing exactly what you needed to do. This may not apply to everyone who is dedicated enough to read this, but power-ups were too complicated to do, and I agree with that. You needed to know how to navigate through the sets, understand how to get the team tokens, and then what you could actually do with them. Our first goal in Madden 19 was to streamline this process, and it started with building a new currency type, which is called training. Training is one of the things you'll need to power up players in MUT 19. The primary way you'll earn training is by quick selling items that you do not need. More on training in a little bit. So first, to touch on this, I definitely tested this out, and it might sound bad if you just say like, oh, I got to quick sell stuff that I could actually auction, but no, it's usually quick selling things that, you know, probably wouldn't go for a lot of coins anyway, or just little things hanging around your binder that you don't need. You know, in the past, you might have stuff in your binder where, okay, I could quick sell this for 10 coins, but what does 10 coins do for you? But instead, you know, now you quick sell it and you get some training points that you could put towards a power up, whereas, you know, quick selling something for a measly few coins doesn't actually move the needle for you and do anything in terms of you really being able to go spend that money or the currency. So let's keep going. Now we can move on to the next layer of accessibility we added to upgrading players, removing the need to go into sets. Wouldn't it be easier if you could just upgrade players from the item itself instead of getting lost in one of the 100 set paths? Yep, we agree too. Now when you click on a player, the first thing you'll see on the back is the option to upgrade. If that player has an upgrade option, you will be launched into a new player upgrades UI. And here you can see a picture of what that looks like. You can see that it says upgrade path. It has tier 1. It has tier chemistry slot, which we'll get into in a minute. You have tier 2, you have tier 3, so on and so forth. As you can see in the image, you now have full access and visibility into all the upgrade options that a player has. Also note that some tiers require training, while other tiers require a specific item. Navigating through the different tiers will also show you the player's new ratings. So some tiers you might just need to add some training points. It might be 100 training points, but then once you get higher up, you might need that card's core elite to complete the next upgrade. So we've touched on how we made this design more accessible, but the player upgrades feature needed to do way more than that. I said we listened to the community and understood their frustrations, so let's start addressing those. First, we should rip the band-aid off and say that up front, that once you upgrade an item, it still becomes non-auctionable, non-tradable. The big difference in MUT 19 is that you will be able to downgrade and go backwards on players that you want to get out of. By doing so, you will also be refunded a portion of what you invested into that player. Let's dive into an example below. The numbers used here are completely hypothetical. So let's say you have an Aaron Rodgers base power up of 80 overall. Tier 1 brings him to 82, and that requires 100 training points. Tier 2 upgrades him to an 84 overall. That requires 200 training points. And then you see Tier 3 brings him to an 87 overall, and that requires his 86 overall core elite. So you get a basic power-up card. You get some training points, you can upgrade him. You get some more training points, you can upgrade him. After that point, to further upgrade him, you need to actually pick up his core elite card, either by pulling it out of a pack or buying it on the auction house. So similar to how it was this year, except with the training points thrown in. In this example, you have acquired the base version of Aaron Rodgers' power-up. This item is auctionable, tradable, up until the point where you invest the 100 training points into him to reach Tier 1. From there, you put 200 training points in him to reach Tier 2, and finally, after acquiring his 86 core elite, you place that into the power-ups as well. If you want to go backwards and stop investing in Aaron Rodgers for whatever reason, you can choose to downgrade. When you downgrade from Tier 3 to Tier 2, you will get that core elite Aaron Rodgers back. And if that core elite was auctionable when you invested him, he will return as an auctionable item. Going from Tier 2 to Tier 1 will get you a percent of the 200 points of training you invested back. And it says here that we're still determining what that percentage will be, but we will let you know as soon as we have settled on that number. And finally, going from Tier 1 to the base will make the base item auctionable again. Sounds a whole lot better, right? So basically, if you go backwards and you get any cards that you actually had to take off the auction house to put into that power-up set, those cards will now be auctionable again. So you can say, okay, I'm tired of this Aaron Rodgers. Let me go backwards and downgrade. You get his core elite back. You can go sell off his core elite for whatever it's worth at that time. You get some of your training points back that you invested. So let's say you invested 200 training points and you downgrade another tier. Maybe they give you, I don't know, 50 training points back or something like that. So you're never completely losing your entire investment, which was pretty much everything we wanted about power-ups. Let us get out and get some of our investment back. Let us not be stuck. So that is a great addition right there. And I got a chance to test this out. It's very easy to use, and it's as simple as powering it up. It's just as simple to downgrade it. And the fact that you can do it from the player item too, I think that's going to go overlooked, but that's really a big thing, because if you did power-ups this year, when you had to go into a power-up set, it literally took you like 45 seconds just to get to the power-up, page, because you had to click on so many different things. It was actually quite annoying. But like they said, they streamlined it. You can literally go into your binder, click on the card, and click upgrade. It just brings you into everything so much faster. And like I said, that might get overlooked, but it actually is a very, very much so a convenience that they added. And here they say, but wait, there's more. And this is really great. How many times has a brand new player come out and he looks absolutely sick, except his chemistry doesn't match what you personally value? Well, we as MUT producers are removing ourselves from that equation and turning it over to you, the players. In MUT 19, almost no players will come with chemistry outside of team chemistry already equipped. So if they play for the Packers, they'll have Packers chemistry. Instead, you will have the option to upgrade that player, which opens up a chemistry slot and bank of full available options. Let's do a very basic common example. You acquire a core gold player. When you acquire him, he has nothing but his team chemistry equipped. But when you click on the player and you choose to upgrade him to Tier 1, you unlock his scheme chemistry. From there, tab over and you'll see that you have a bank filled with available scheme chemistry options. You get to choose which one to equip. And just as we've done that with upgrade tiers, you also have the ability to remove or change the chemistry as well. If you have equipped balanced offense, for example, but you want to change it to go deep, you can go right ahead and do that. Madden Ultimate Team wants to continue delivering more ways to let you personalize and customize your team, and being able to choose your chemistry is a great opportunity to further that goal. So how many times this year have you gotten a card? There's been like a sick, for defense, this has been a very big thing. Let's say there was like a really great cornerback there at least, but he didn't have read and react, which is what everybody wanted. He had blanket coverage, which nobody wanted. Well, you don't have to worry about that this year. Any cornerback that you get off the market, if you want to upgrade his chemistry, you can pick read and react every single time, or whatever the big chemistry winds up being for Madden 19 that everybody wants. You'll be able to choose that, so you're not going to be like, oh, this card is so great, but his chemistry doesn't match what I'm using on my team, so I really can't use him. No more of that. Again, another great addition. They definitely listen to everybody on that one. It's worth noting that not all players will have the same chemistry options, especially when it comes to chemistry abilities. So abilities are like playmaker ability, secure tackler, unfakeable, things like that. Players will need to be at a certain overall or have a specific attribute at a certain rating threshold in order to have that ability appear in the bank of chemistry choices. We'll do our best to share that information in more detail after we have had time to tune those values. So that makes sense. Obviously, you can't put like a playmaker ability on a wide receiver that's 82 overall, or a secure tackler ability on a linebacker that's 84 overall, right? You have to be just like in this year. You didn't see those abilities in cards, I believe, until they hit like somewhere in the early 90s. And again, like you don't want to be able to add a maybe a zone, like a read and react chemistry to a card that has like 80 zone. It wouldn't make sense. But when we start getting later in the year and all the cards that are coming out have good ratings and stuff like that, then it's pretty much just going to be every card's going to have most of these chemistries available anyway. Earlier in the year, there may be some limitations because the overalls are still so low. So that's pretty much all on power-ups and chemistries and stuff like that. So let's get into solo battles, which is something I'm excited about because, like I said, I got a chance to test this out, and it actually is a lot of fun. Everybody that was there agreed that it was fun, and it was a great addition to the game. Basically, solo battles is like Weekend League versus the computer, pretty much. So let's get into it. Another feature we're really excited to talk about is solo battles. Solo battles brings the competitive feel of Weekend League to players who are more comfortable taking on the CPU. There will be 13 games per week, and in each game you will try to earn the highest battle score. Battle score is earned from completing a solo battle game, winning a solo battle game, and the stats that you accumulate in that game. There's one additional factor for determining how many battle points you can earn, and that is by choosing your modifier. The modifier is a combination of difficulty and game style. The higher the difficulty, the higher the multiplier. Solo battles are full game challenges versus the CPU. The quarter length is set to 3 minutes, and you will have only one chance to record the best possible results. There is no restarting or replaying a solo battles game like you can in a traditional solo challenge. Each week, your goal will be pretty straightforward. Earn as many battle points as possible. The reward structure for solo battles will look familiar to Weekend League. There are 14 different reward tiers, which include players who are in the top 100. We're not quite sure the exact rewards for launch yet, but we plan on sharing those details when we get closer to the date. There's one more really unique aspect to solo battles worth mentioning. While you are playing against the CPU, the roster will be comprised of real-life MUT teams. That means if you are participating in MUT, you are potentially eligible to have your team chosen and represented in solo battles. And while it would be really exciting to have your team show up in solo battles, it's just as exciting for the people playing. Since we are constantly pulling teams from the community each week, the rosters you are facing will always be in tune with the latest content in Madden Ultimate Team. Let's wrap up by talking about solo battles by outlining what our current thought process is for the content release cadence. There's a chance this could change, but it's what we're currently planning. As mentioned earlier, there are 13 games that include a featured opponent, which is up for the entire week. The featured opponent game will also have an increased amount of battle points that you can earn, so it'll be really important to play this each week. As for the schedule, Monday, new solo battles week begins. Featured opponent plus 4 games available. Wednesday, the next 4 games become available. Friday, the last 4 games become available. So, we got to play solo battles, and like you said, the modifier is basically a difficulty setting. So there's like tons of different difficulty settings, from the easiest of the easy to, the difficulty that it gets up to actually can be pretty difficult. Think about how sometimes you're playing. If you've ever played the computer on all Madden and you know how they kind of cheat, kind of have a similar feel to this. Like if you play hard difficulty in solo battles, it actually is a challenge. Like it's not like a regular solo challenge where it's just easy to just like sleepwalk over everybody. If you actually pick higher difficulties in the solo battles, even though they are the computer, it is a challenge. It's not a cakewalk. You actually have to play very carefully and play very smart. And we provided feedback on it, and we thought that everything really did look great when we played it. And like I said, it's fun because it gives people that don't want to compete in Weekend League against other, tough opponents, it gives them a way to earn rewards and still have a leaderboard worth grinding, right? You don't really have to deal with the quote-unquote cheesy players or seeing halfback pitch every play. You're playing the computer, so you're still getting like that organic play calling, that not spamming one play, but you still have a leaderboard worth climbing. And, many of the people there that even were Weekend League players even said that they would probably play this as well because it is fun. It's another way of grinding a leaderboard. And the featured opponent thing is like, every week there might be a featured opponent. They might pull a MUT team from like, it could range from anything. It could be like, a dev team potentially from EA, or it could be, you could play Skimbo's MUT team, or, just something crazy like that. The featured opponent, they're always going to be pulled from actual MUT lineups, like they said in the blog here. So I believe you'll be able to pick if you want to actually play against that opponent or not. And the more you do against that opponent, the better your score is going to be. So the difference between this and a regular solo challenge is you want to get a regular solo challenge early over as quickly as possible and just get your reward. You're trying to run the clock, get it over, get it done with. But with solo battles, it doesn't actually benefit you to do that, because all the stats you accumulate, the points that you accumulate, all that makes your score go higher. And the goal is to get the highest score possible so that you can rank into that top 100 and get the best rewards. So you don't want to get the game over with quick. You actually want to try to put up as many yards and points as possible. So it's definitely something different coming to Ultimate Team, and I think it's great because it's a good balance for people that don't actually want to play regular weekend league. It gives those guys something to play too, but I myself personally found that it was fun as well, and I think I'll actually be playing it too. So moving along, we have squads challenges. MUT Squads returns in Madden 19, and new to this year, we have added the ability to play games against the CPU. You and two of your friends can team up to take on challenges that will be a mix of various difficulties, playstyles, and even weather. We will produce weekly challenges and plan on continuously updating that throughout the year. While there are only a few squad challenges each week, you will be able to replay them over and over for a consistent coin reward. In addition, there will be a sizable first win reward and an incentive to beat each of these challenges at least once every week. We're excited about squads challenges because it offers a platform for players who just want to have some fun together and not worry about having to play against another team or three. Also, squads challenges serves as a pseudo practice environment for squads that just want to get some extra reps in before taking on competition. And regardless of how you want to engage with squad challenges, there's no doubt that we will be offering up some unique challenges that will put you and your team to the test. There's a long-term roadmap for our vision of what squads can evolve into. This is just a tip of the vision, and we look forward to continuing building towards those goals. So basically now you team up with two of your friends, you play different CPU challenges, you get rewards for them, but it also serves as like a practice mode for people that want to practice with their team. So it's kind of like two birds, one stone type of deal. So that's cool for people that want to play squads. It definitely sounds like EA wants squads to keep evolving. Obviously last year was the first year, or this year, I guess technically Madden 18 was the first year, and it was very bare bones, and it didn't really hit as big as they wanted it to, but they definitely plan to keep building it out and evolving it, because obviously team play is huge in any game these days, so they need to build this out and keep making it more diverse and, making people want to actually play it. What else? In addition to the 3 major features we have built, there are a few other important things worth touching on. A good place to start is A good place to start is an addition that all of Madden will benefit from, and that's the inclusion of 7 new specialist positions in the lineup screen that you will have. So basically, I touched on this in the franchise video. You have special lineup or depth chart slots for specialty positions, whereas like in the past, all you had was third down halfback. Well, now you have a rush left and a rush right defensive end, a rush defensive tackle, a slot cornerback, a sub linebacker, a power halfback, and a slot wide receiver. You can designate players to this position. So basically, here's an example. He says, I'll save that deep dive for a future blog because they'll probably touch on that in franchise. But at a high level, these positions were created so that gameplay could tag formations with these new specialist positions. So for instance, instead of having to manually sub a defensive end down to defensive tackle out of nickel, just assign that player as your rush defensive tackle slot, and he'll already be there every time you come out in a nickel defense. So sometimes you might come out in a defense and you might want to put a defensive end at D tackle for better pass rushing. Well, you can put a defensive end in the rush defensive tackle spot, and anytime you come out in passing defensive formations like nickel, dime, dollar, he'll just already be there. You won't have to manually sub him in. So that's a convenient thing to have, and it's something that teams do in real life. They have sub packages. And since we're on the topic of MUT lineup screen, we should discuss some changes we made there. This is an amazing change, by the way, guys. First of all, we felt like there was too much depth. There's no reason to have positions like offensive lineman needing 3 total players per position or 5 kick and punt return slots. So we shaved off some of the excess and then decided to make all the remaining positions for offense and defense count towards chemistry. there are now 25 slots on offense and 25 more slots on defense that count towards your chemistry. As long as you are playing someone in their natural position, they will be contributing to your team even if they never see the field. This does mean that tiers of chemistry will take more players to activate in order to balance out having so many more chemistry slots than in years past. So many of you know, for example, wide receiver. Your first 3 wide receivers would count towards your chemistry, but your 4th and 5th wide receivers, their chemistry wouldn't count. Or, you know, your 3rd tight end wouldn't count towards your chemistry. Or your 4th and 5th cornerbacks wouldn't count towards your chemistry. Your backup defensive ends, your backup safeties wouldn't count towards your chemistry. That's out the window. Every slot that is available now counts towards your chemistry. All your backup slots, as long as they're in their natural position. But, like he said, it's going to take more to activate chemistry. So, like this year, it took 3 players to activate a chemistry. But now that you're literally like doubling the spots of chemistries available. Of course, they have to up that. So it might, instead of being 3, maybe it'll be 5 players or something like that now, which isn't too crazy. But they have to obviously bump that up because now there's way more slots available. So it'd be way too easy to max out chemistries if they kept it the same. But the fact that your backup players now count towards chemistry, something that's huge, something that everybody wanted, great addition, and I'm definitely glad to see that. So that's all on the MUT stuff. I think those are some really great additions. I think that they have upgraded MUT more this year than they have in years past. Solo battles is a great addition. The MUT squads challenges is a great addition. The fact that we can reverse power-ups now is great, and the fact that chemistries count towards everything now, all of that should make MUT a better experience, and I'm definitely excited to get my hands on it when the game comes out. So let me know what you thought below. Do you agree, disagree? Do you think they didn't do enough? Do you think they, did too much? Do you not like the changes? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, I will see you guys next time.